Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers CBO.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another exciting Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers Knowledge Forum. We are joined today with the amazing P. Wade Ross, right to my, I guess, to whatever side of your screen you are in. And of course, our guest speaker, Uriah, is waiting in the balances. So we're very excited to have you all here. It's really good to have you. Now, I always say, before we start off any of our knowledge forums, we love to kind of take a quick icebreaker to learn about where you are calling in or joining us from. So I am going to launch this icebreaker. Oh, and by the way, my name is Uchenai Ogba. I'm with Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers, and I am based in San Antonio, Texas. My bad, y'all. Allergies are hurting me today. So if you see me with like little teary eyed, his allergies is really bad today, San Antonio, Texas. So, but I'm here. I'm in high spirits, and we're very excited to have you. So I'm gonna launch this icebreaker. And with our icebreakers, we keep it very simple. We just have three simple questions we want to know. Where you're joining us from, what do you produce or hope to produce on your farm slash ranch? And what type of livestock do you raise or hope to raise on your farm slash ranch? You can always say nothing. You could say XYZ. You could say this is hopefully what I produce. You could say this is what my vision is for my farm slash ranch. It doesn't matter. But we love to get your feedback so we know where we are, and no answer is irrelevant or too small. For example, me, I have a small backyard. I do herbs. I just got to start doing potatoes. And it's looking good, Phil. It's looking good. I'm gonna take a picture so I can show y'all. It's looking good. I got me some sweet potatoes. I love me, and I just cut it up and it started. I was like, oh, little sprouts, and I plug that in. Learn from Ken. Ken is one of our educators here at Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers. So please answer.
Yes.
I see we got a couple of people already that joined our live. We want to give everyone a chance to respond. I usually give about 2 minutes for all responses. And if you don't respond, that's okay. Or you can just drop in the chat whenever. That is fine. We love to just hear from you all and get you all's feedback as well, because this is a good way to just know, okay, who's on the call? Where are you from? Who are you? And whatnot. Okay, okay. We're at minute 23 in, and folks are jumping on. Great stuff, great stuff. Let's see now. Five people in. I see seven of y'all. I see, is everyone going to respond or answer? We have like 20 seconds left. Okay, okay. Questions, answers coming in. All right, all right, all right. 15 seconds. Last chance. Love to hear from you. All right, five, four, three, two, one. Oh, it's 2 seconds and it's over. Awesome. Let's see. Let me see what y'all say. Let me be nosy here. Let me be nosy and see what y'all talking about. Second. Okay. So we have some great folks in the house today. Okay. From our word map, we got Houston, we got Dallas, we got Tarrant County in the house. Woohoo! Thank y'all so much for joining us. Everyone from Houston, everyone from Dallas, everyone from Tarrant County. We are glad to have you here. The second question, what do you produce or hope to produce on your farm slash ranch? Now, wow, a lot of people said potatoes. A lot of y'all said potatoes. That is exciting. I love that. We have sweet potatoes and we have potatoes. We got collard greens. I love me a good collard green. That is my green of choice. Some people say carrots, and the person said fruit trees. Yes. Someone said herbs and vegetables. Yes, I love me an herb garden. I have rosemary growing and sage and basil. Those are the three main ingredients I like to use. So I have them growing as well. Another guest said purple hulls, collards, and mint. Ooh, that sounds exciting and delicious. Okay. Another guest said vegetables and a fruit garden. Yes, that is beautiful. Another guest said tomatoes, sweet potatoes, cucumbers, and herbs. Yes. Okay. And another guest said figs and aloe veras. Okay. Okay. I like me a good aloe vera. You gotta treat those burns, and it's really good as well for just the face and skin moisturized. I like that. And a good fig is delicious as well. And okay. Now, the third question, what type of livestock do you raise or hope to raise on your farm slash ranch? One of our guests, first guest, none. That's all right. Another guest, goats. Goats. Goats? Okay, everybody got goats in here. I love it. Now, my dad always makes a joke, don't get friendly with the goat. Dinner will be ready very soon. So I love eating goat meat. I love goat meat. I love goat meat. I even keep it as pets. That's okay. Me personally, I love me a good goat meat. So if whenever I got enough land, I'm gonna have goats. I might serve goat a few nights in a row, but no, that's a pleasure. We're grateful for everyone to be here. We think you guys are amazing, and thank you all so much for joining us as well. Now, I'm going to ask our guest to unmute and start. And Phil, would you like to introduce Uriah for us?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. So, Uriah Israel is our garden and microgrower specialist here at Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers Clean Base Organization. And drawing from his over 40 years of experience,
Wow.
which begins with his father as a sharecropper in Tennessee, Uriah is the creator of and a publisher of Let's Grow, which is a children's book reconnecting our children to the joy of agriculture. So, big time there. As an educator and speaker, Uriah uses culturally relevant instruction to really teach all of us the things that we need to know when it comes to agriculture, especially in small space gardening. His instruction is designed to really inspire us and to really help us, or basically his work really proves that there's no civilization or culture without agriculture. So I'll stop there. Can you continue go on and on? But Uriah, it's your floor.
All right, man. I love that introduction. That's pretty nice. It's a joy to be here this wonderful afternoon, this wonderful evening, I guess I should say. And we're at the beginning of the summer. Well, actually, the vernal equinox took place on March 21st. So we just astronomically just entered springtime. But we know that the temperatures have been quite warm here where I'm at, anyways. Been in the 90s. We had a couple of days where we were in the 90s, the high 80s. So it's kind of deceptive. It's kind of tricky. And so today's topic we're going to be talking about is preparing for summer for summer growing, preparing your garden for summer growing. And so we just want to dive into this and let me know when I can share my screen. Okay, there we go. All right. Hold on. Okay. All right. Can you see the screen?
No, you're right. We
Can
can't
I
see.
see it? Okay, wait a minute.
Not yet.
Not yet. Wait a minute. All right.
There it is.
See it? Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Everything good? Okay. All right. So once again, welcome. Somebody mentioned purple hull peas, and that's one of my favorite crops to grow during the summertime. That's me and my daughter harvesting purple hull peas, contently having a great time. And this is a really good plant to plant during this time. Good vegetable sustenance, and you can get a lot from it. Okay. And I'm just going to keep on going with this. I'm going to keep track of time. Okay, cool. All right. So here we go. Once again, this is my name, Uriah Israel. Number 404-437-9750 if you ever need to reach out to me. That's a copy of the Let's Grow books that Phil mentioned. I got to a place where even though my father was this really cool grower up in Boston, Massachusetts, he was making urban gardening really cool before it became hip. And whenever they talked about agriculture and urban gardening, I never heard them mention anything about my father. So I had to write a book about that, right? I had to write a book about all the accomplishments that our people had in agriculture. They only wanted to show us like working in the cotton fields, but we were the innovators, we were entrepreneurs, we were inventors. And so that's what Let's Grow was all about, besides growing crops. Okay. So that's the information. That's my contact information if you need to reach me. All right, here we go. So in this picture here, this was a picture during the pandemic, right? We had this COVID pandemic that happened. And so I remember walking through and I was actually taking pictures of some of the empty shelves. And this is just kind of a sign of things to happen, things to come. But we've always been able to feed ourselves during depressions, during periods where the economy slowed down. We were able to feed ourselves because we had this knowledge. And today, some people they don't have the knowledge anymore, and we have to get it back, and we really have to get our hands dirty and work and to feed ourselves because a lot of the stuff really can't be trusted. The food is not as healthy as you would like to think it is. And people are making a lot of money off of that, right? They're making money with big ag, they're making money off of big agriculture. And so we have to start growing and making our own food. Once again, this is another picture of the supermarket. This was a Kroger's, and all the meat was just wiped out. Okay, all the meat was just wiped out. I thought it was amazing. I've never seen a supermarket look like this. So we have to get back to growing our own food, and that's what this is all about. At this time, where right now we have a conflict happening right now in the Middle East. It's affecting the gas, it's affecting the oil, and so therefore our prices of crops is going to go up. So we have to be aware of that. Don't take it lightly. And so what are we going to talk about is getting ready for the warm season. And so here's a picture right here. What season are you in? What season are we in? And this is a picture once again of my daughter harvesting a bunch of leafy greens. I'm going to take that, saute those jokers and eat them. Good meal. That costs quite a bit if I bought it in the supermarket, right? But we're growing it. And so there it is. That's a picture. So let's get going. So we're looking here and we can see that right now we're coming towards the summer season. We've had some up and down weather here, and I live very close to San Antonio area, and it's been very like just up and down, man. We've had like 90 degree temperature. Then it drops down to like in the 40s and even the 30s. Then it comes back up. And if you could really get fooled into believing that, hey, summer's here, let's do this, or spring is here, but that's not the case. And so we have to really keep our eye on, keep your eye on the weather and make sure that you know what's going on as far as the summer and the winter is concerned. You can spend a lot of money planting crops, and then because the weather is not cooperating with you, you're not paying attention to it, you could lose a lot of money with crops, buying a bunch of peppers, tomatoes, and things. And next thing you know, you lost them all because it got really, really cold. I'm a victim. I've been there, and so like I know what it's like. On the bottom of this illustration, it says your garden should be placed in a location that gives it the best exposure to sunlight at the time of the year based upon the plant and food or crop. This is super important, and I had to leave that there because you'll see as we go along why that's so important. All right. Sun's position. The sun's position of the sun varies during the year. In midwinter, the sun is lower and the shadows much longer. And in the height of summer, the sun is high and the shadows are short. So you have to be aware of the different seasons, what happens on your land during that time. Okay, during that time. These are some important dates. You should know these dates as a grower. You should know that the vernal equinox falls in March, March 20th, 21st. You should know this. And then summer solstice comes on June 20th and 22nd. And then you go back to autumn, the autumnal equinox, that's September 22nd and 23rd. And then, of course, winter solstice is December 21st and 22nd. You should know this. You are now a junior astronomer, and you must pay attention to this, how the earth rotates around the sun. If you have small children or you have children, you should make them keep a record. Like, what's today's date? Make sure they understand and they can see the seasons changing. This is something that we became like we got completely unattached to. We just, we're looking at the weather. We're really not paying attention to what the weather should be like because we don't know these dates. And this happens. This has happened since before you were born. This is going to continue to happen way after you pass away. And so these are constants that we should pay attention to. Okay. All right. Sunlight, along with water and soil, is a key component for healthy foliage, flowers, and fruit. This is huge. Okay. And the amount of the light that gets into your yard will change throughout the day. We already talked about that. But sunlight, you need to know you need to know how the sunlight plays in your yard, in your fields. You need to know how it works, how it affects your crops. This is very important depending on what you're trying to grow. All right. I left this slide in here because even if you don't, I'm not a big fan of Home Depot, Lowe's, or Walmart. They buy their seedlings from the same locations. What's the name of that company? They buy the same crops. And so many times these guys will use Miracle Grow in the soil that they start their seedlings in. I really like small local farm. I like feed and seed stores. I like small nurseries in your neighborhood. I think everybody should have a good relationship with your local nursery. Find one that's close to you and just walk around in there all the time. Make sure you start knowing people. You ask them questions, and you just really begin to develop a relationship with them. They'll share a ton of information with you, and then of course you want to go to local farmers markets and meet other farmers. Like, what are you guys growing? Where do you get your seedlings from? Where do you get your seeds from? And you want to like develop relationship with these people. Other things, you also want to know other growers. The very bottom, somebody down your street or your neck of the woods is growing. You want to meet them, talk to them, and pick their brain. Okay, and learn from other growers. All right, real quick, I'm going to fly through these slides right here. This is a map of South Central. This is actually a USDA plant hardiness zone map of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. It's called South Central United States. And so as you can see, all the major cities of Texas are here: Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, which is the capital. El Paso is way over there on the left. And so like you can see how all of these different locations are in different zones and some of their temperatures vary. I know that people were getting snow in Dallas. We didn't get any snow in the San Antonio area. I was very thankful for that. I don't like snow. And so, but this right here, you can see how the temperatures they vary and it can get pretty cool up there in Dallas. And thank goodness I don't live there. So there we go. All right. Once again, I'm not gonna touch that. This is another way that they divide Texas up. They show like the different types of sections of Texas. And this is a very interesting, I've never seen anything like this in any other state, but they divide it up into little regions. And San Antonio, I think, is in the region like it's an 8 or F, South Texas, South Texas Plains. And so it's a different type of landscape there, like a lot of sandy soil. You look at like Houston area is Gulf Prairie and marshes. This is very interesting. You really need to know your area And I know one of the questions that will probably be asked is like, what do I need to do as a starting farmer? You need to know where you are. I'm always going to say that. I start off most of my classes with really examining, where do you live? What's the area like? Do you really, you just want to plant stuff? You don't really know the environment, and that could be a disaster. Okay, you want to know your annual precipitation. This is super duper important. A lot of people don't know this. They have no idea what the precipitation is like. They think that because they have a friend that lives in Dallas or Houston, they should get the same type of precipitation. Does not work that way. You must learn like, what is your annual precipitation? Okay, big thing I always say, once again, I'm going to always buy an outside thermometer and fix it to a place that's not in direct sunlight. Monitor your own weather, because one place will be cooler in your yard, another place, your neighbor's yard could be completely different. And you just want to really monitor how the weather plays on the climate and weather on your fields, in your garden, in your farm. Okay, rain gauge. Sometimes I just leave a bucket out to gather the rain so I can see whether or not it rained where I'm at. You could be in one part of the city, it'll pour down rain, you get home, and your house is dry as a bone. Okay, but you want to make sure that you see how much water is coming onto your farm, your garden, and your fields. All right. So getting ready for warm season, plant and light requirements. Most plants have preferred light conditions for top-notch performance, which are full sun, part shade, or full shade. And so I'm going to go through these really quick. Full sun, 6 hours each day when the sun shines directly on them. All fruits need full sun. All the fruits need full sun. What does that look like? It's like the side on the left here. You see this right here. That's really, there's no trees there, not much shade. That's full sun. Okay. 6 hours or more equal full sun. All right. Be aware. So, like I mentioned, we're in the San Antonio area, and probably like right after, let me see, March, April, May, like right around May, we're gonna start getting triple digit heat index. It's gonna be really warm, 110 degrees, sometimes 105. And so you can't just have full sun on your crops. It's called like the microwave. And you don't really want to have your crops being hit with 8 hours of full sunlight. And so here we have what they call a shade cloth. And so shade cloth is very beneficial when you're trying to grow crops in the summertime in an area like San Antonio that gets intense sunlight. And so you need to like cover these up. What is, let me see, okay, shade cloth, I put a description here because I don't want to remember all this. It says shade cloth is a lightweight knitted polyethylene fabric used to protect plants from excessive sunlight, heat, and UV exposure. Okay, it works as a sunscreen for your garden. They're real easy to put up. You just put them on, like, like this guy has sticks in his yard. I use like poles to put them up. And so, like, you just want to protect your plants from the intense heat of the summer. And so it reduces leaf temperature, prevents sunburn on foliage and fruit, and helps lower water consumption. Typically 30, so they have different levels of shade block. And some of you got 90% all the way down to 30 and 20. And so you don't really want to use anything above 50 because the plants do need sunlight, but 90 is actually just a little bit too, it blocks out too much sun, and your plants won't get the full effect of the sunlight that they need. Okay. And so I just want to talk about shade cloth. Okay. So here we have the middle one, part sun, part shade. And this is 3 to 6 hours of sun per day, preferably in the morning or the evening, not during the hottest part of the day. So your leafy greens and your root crops like this. And you can still, some people say, hey, I want to grow some leafy greens. If you have a really shady area on your land, in your garden, you can try to get away with growing some leafy greens if you have a good shady area. But if it gets too much sunlight, they will what they will call they will end up bolting. And bolting means that too much heat will cause them to begin to flower. And next thing you know, what you want as a cabbage is now just a giant flowers. they taste bitter, and they really went to the second phase of your life, which is to produce seeds, and it won't look like the way you want to look. And so you want to prevent that by using shade cloth. Okay. And once again, leafy greens really are not supposed to have intense sunlight. They're not meant for that. It's amazing that crops have different needs, different sunlight needs, and you must know what each one of them need, and make sure that you put them in the right place so you'll have a what's the word I'm looking for? Optimal production from your yard. Okay, very important. Part sun, part shade is right in the middle where the trees are. Whoops, back up. Right there in the middle where the little trees are. And this is a good thing. If you have trees in your garden, you can like kind of work around them. You have some raised beds and you use the natural shade from the trees if you can. That's always been beneficial to me, and that's a good thing to do. Okay. So once again, 3 to 6, 3 to 6 hours equals part sun or part shade. And you can see the sun coming through the trees, and that's perfect right there. All right, full shade. Some plants need fewer than 3 hours of direct sun per day. This could describe conditions found on the north side of a structure or under a shade tree. You want like this is like a mint plant and a lot of herbs like shade. This is like use the trees, use them when your foliage finally blooms out. You want to use that shade to prevent your herbs from drying up. Okay. And so that's full shade. And once again, that would be all the way to the right of the picture where the big trees are and they are completely blocking the ground. That's perfect for them for your herbs. And see, 3 or less is full shade. Okay. Man, microclimates. I'm going to show this picture right here. Like, so this is a house, not in the house that we lived in Atlanta, but a house very similar to the house that we lived in Atlanta. And around this house are different microclimates. Your job as a grower is to really learn the microclimates around your area. What sections get a lot of shade? What sections get a lot of sunlight? You want to walk around at different times of day to know where should I plant my tomatoes? Where should I put those cucumbers? I need space for my watermelons. So you have to figure all this out. And so your microclimates are very important. So like here, I'm gonna show you right here, we see at the structure over here around where this yellow block is, you'll see that it's very shady. And the brick planter that's there, stones and bricks and things like that hold a lot of heat. So this is a good place to plant something that you don't necessarily want to burn to a crisp during the summertime, but you also want it to you want to get some sunlight. I guess there's going to be a time of day where the sunlight does come through, but the warmth from the bricks will be very beneficial for the plants that are planted there. Okay, whoops. Okay, over on this side, you have some more shady area. You have a big bush there that's also providing shade. Let's see here. Okay, right here behind this tree with the arrow up there is a big tree that's providing shade. Good place to put some type of plants that like shady, part shade. Then you got another one over here, a little bit younger tree, and the same thing applies. And then right here, let me see. Okay, once again, you can put plants on right there on the ledge of this planter that they have planted there. And then over here is another spot. And then you got a big place right here where you can plant something that likes to like vine out and just grow. And so as long as your neighbors don't mess with it. But like if you have this type of space, these are some of the ideas. Not all plants are not created equal, and you do need to find the spots that are good for the plants that you are trying to grow. All right. Okay, that's another area. This is actually the driveway, which is asphalt, and you can probably put some things in pots right around there. And so these are just some creative ways to look at. You have to really study the area that you're in. Okay, follow the sun. Misjudging sunlight is a very common pitfall when you're first learning to garden. You're wondering why your plants are not doing so well because some of them are not designed to take the full brunt of the summer heat, but you have them in a place and you're like, what's wrong with you? He's drying up, he's dying, he's struggling, trying to hang in there, and you just have it in the wrong spot. Okay, sunlight is necessary for quality fruits. Absolutely. Okay, what time of the year is it? We already know that. So it says crops that will germinate with soil temperature above 70 degrees. This is where we're coming to. This is a perfect time to have this discussion, actually, because we haven't quite, what was it like last week, I think it was? Did we have 30-degree weather like last week in San Antonio? Isn't that
Yes, sir.
crazy?
Mhm.
Yeah, 30-degree weather, and I think what's it like 80 something right now? And so, like, you always want to look at let me say this too. I'm glad I'm saying this, is that always check the nighttime temperature. Always check the nighttime temperature. Sometimes you go out, beautiful day outside, going out, you wearing a t-shirt, having a good time. And then at night, you're not really paying attention. The temperature drops to 40 degrees or something like that. And you were completely unaware about that. You want to keep your eye on the nighttime temperatures. And so these crops, I'm going to show you a list of things that I will plant during the warm season. And so here we go. These are some pictures right here, and I'm going to talk about each one of these. But this is just a little collage of different types of crops you can grow during the summertime. Let's talk about one of my favorites, which is okra. It needs full sunlight, 50 to 65 days from planting to harvest. This guy right here, I would not. Let me not say that. If I was a novice, I've never planted okra before, I might buy it by seed. I might buy it by seed. But if you've grown this before, you know that okra will shoot up really fast. They're like little BBs, and you can plant them and they will come right up. And you want to have about maybe 5 to 6 inches, maybe 10 inches apart because they grow really, really, really tall. And they will also provide shade for another plant. You might have let these guys start growing, then you plant something that doesn't quite like the full sunlight, like okra. Okra loves full sunlight. And so in about 50 to 65 days, you're able to harvest from okra plants. Okay. Um, I did put this is probably one of the few plants I did put this something like this. Okra has hairy leaves and tiny spines on its pod. They cause skin irritation. So make sure you're wearing gloves and long sleeves. You'll brush up against an okra plant and say like, wow, what's going on with my skin? And it's the okra plant. They just have this defense mechanism. And so on the bottom here, okay, some of the companion plants, and I listed all of these. I got about eight different plants to grow. And the companions are beans, peas, basil, oregano, and marigolds and sunflowers. If you're going to plant okra, you want to plant a companion near it. And so this is a good idea for your okra plants. And I love this picture here because this is a good length for the okra. Do not let your okra plants grow like this is a pin. Some people are like, wow, look how big this okra is. This is awesome. That okra is too big. It's not supposed to be that long. It's supposed to be at the most probably about this long. Young and tender, not long and fibrous. And you're like, wow, this thing is tough. And now you turned off your whole family because you grew it too long and they think it's supposed to be like that. No, make sure you harvest it when it's very short, just like in these pictures right here. All right. Okay. Slide. Okay. This is another one of my favorites is sweet potatoes. They absolutely need full sunlight. We'll go back to this real quick. Notice that the okra takes 50 to 65 days from planting to harvest. Sweet potatoes take a lot longer. The okra was about 2 months worth of growing. So your sweet potatoes, you're looking at about 4 months, right? 120 days 100 to 120 days, depending on the watering, depending on the sunlight. And so these are great. Do not, if once again, take a sweet potato, put it in the water. I wish I had a picture of this. Put it in water with some toothpicks and suspend it in a cup and just let it germinate that way. It will produce these little, what we call them slips. And when they get about long as your hand, you can twist them off and you plant them in the ground and they will develop into sweet potatoes. And so, like, do not buy, I mean, I guess you could buy slips, but you can grow them really, you can grow them yourself. If you have children, this is a nice little project for them. Say, like, hey, let's germinate some of these sweet potatoes and plant them in the garden so they can understand the power of agriculture. They see it, they'll say, like, wow. And they'll probably never want to buy sweet potatoes again once they see that. They'll probably want to start selling them. They'll say, whoa, we got this for like, this came up. This is like free. We could just sell. Yeah, you can sell these. And so, like, this is sweet potatoes, and some of their companions, once again, are beans and peas, thyme, dill, oregano, onions, garlic, and chives. I plant onions all over the place in my yard as protective plants, and they do really really well. And Uche, if you have any questions in the chat room, I'm not able to see it, but if you see something you want to throw it in there, you can feel free.
We did have one question come in from
Okay.
Tina. I did respond, but you could probably give her a better answer than I did because I
Hmm.
referenced a spot on the internet. But she said, "How do you determine what zone you are in?
Say it one more time.
How do you determine what zone you are in?"
Oh man, great question. Oh, that was way way back in the beginning. But what you can do is put in your zip code and say what zone is this zip code in? Just Google it, just like that. Near the end of this, I'm going to show some reference materials, and I believe in farmers' almanacs. Go to your extension offices and get as much material as you can. And the real quick about the hardiness zones is that that's just a little rule of thumb. You still have to go out and do it and experiment because you will never know what you can grow until you actually go do it. And once again, the microclimates come into play, and you might have a real sunny spot that's really getting the good sunlight. You're like, wow, it's not supposed to be able to grow here, but it's growing well. Yeah, you got to just play around with it, see what works. Okay. All right, here we go. Peppers, another one of my favorites. Full sun, 60 to 150 degree, 60 to 150 days from planting to harvest. Now, there's a whole bunch of different types of peppers. So, like, that's just like a rule of thumb. You got like small ones like habaneros. You got your chili peppers. You have your bell peppers. So it's like that's a big window. And one says 2 months, the other one says 5 months. So like, like you have to really read the labels when you buy these plants. Now, I mentioned that okra, okra plants would is something I might plant by hand, by seed into the soil. Also, sweet potatoes, I probably would do the same thing. But like peppers, I would probably buy the plant because they take a little bit longer to germinate. And so, like, if I go to a nursery, I'm gonna say, hey, what kind of peppers do you have? And they'll show them to me, and I'll probably buy peppers directly from a nursery because they take a little bit too long. I mean, you can still do it, but just be aware that it might take almost 2 weeks for them to germinate and get to the place where you can put them outside. Okay. Then of course, there's a little process that you just can't get them to a certain place and then just put them outside. Okay. And so the companions for peppers, if you were to buy these, you got basil, which is a good herb, chives, cilantro, dill, leeks, onions, oregano, rosemary. So you got a whole bunch of seasoning to go along there. And so like these guys all get along really well together and they help each other grow. Ooh, here we go. That's the purple holes right there. This right here, this baby, this is the one. So these are basically black eyed peas in a purple hull shell. They call cow peas, and you can get these jokers will harvest. They will grow really fast, 55 to 70 days, depending on the variety. And so, like, if you once again, if you're new to the growing crops yourself, this is one of the things you want to do. Very high success rate They will grow very fast. You'll pull up two. You come out the next day. There'll be four there waiting for you. You have to keep growing. And let's say if you're trying to grow for sustenance, I would stagger these guys out every 2 weeks. I'd be putting down some more purple whole peas just so I can have a continuous crop all the way until it gets cold. All right. Now the companions for purple hulls are corn, okra, and sunflowers. Okay, those guys get along really well. And this is a really good plant to plant if you want to be successful. You've never done this before. Eggplant, full sun. I don't really like eggplant that much, but they're really pretty looking. Eggplant, full sun, 70 to 90 days from planting to harvest. And so you got about sometimes a little bit over 2 months to 3 months. You got your companions, basil, thyme, and parsley. What happens here too is that eggplant. I said I'm not a big fan. I didn't really grow up eating a lot of eggplant, but my wife and my daughter, they have some really amazing recipes, and they get down. I'm like, yo, this is nice. What do we got here? So it causes you to like learn because you don't want to just grow these beautiful plants, these beautiful fruit, and next thing you know, you're putting them in the compost because you don't know what to do with them. Okay. Or share with your neighbors, you know what I'm saying? Say, hey, Uche, I got like 10 eggplants. Uche.
I'll take some. I love eggplants.
Oh, you
I love
do?
them. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow. All right. Yeah, share with your neighbor. Share with your neighbor. All right. And let me see. Oh, the companions for eggplant is basil, thyme, and parsley. And so those guys get along really well. This is part of the nightshade family: peppers, tomatoes, eggplant, tomatillos. They're part of the same family. Melons. So, oh man, so this is one of my favorites right here. Melons. You got your watermelon. You got cantaloupe, and so the companions for I don't have the time how long it takes. But companions, marigolds, basil, beans, corns, and radishes. Watermelons depend on the type. You're looking at about 90 days, 120 days. It could take that long to grow them. They love sandy soil where we are. And so, like, they grow really well. They need a lot of space because they will vine out up to about 10 feet of space. And they just like to just leave them alone, let them like go wherever they want to go. And so these are great. This year I have several different varieties of watermelons growing. And so like just give it a shot, something fun to grow. And they do grow fast. If you plant these this is something else I would probably plant by seed. You can buy these from nurseries and things, but like save the seeds from these plants. This is something I'm glad I went here. Is that you want to save seeds from these? You got like a really good watermelon. Say, wow, that watermelon was great. Save the seeds, man. And then next year you plant some of these seeds. You know, germinate them. I got a real simple technique for germination. You take a paper towel, put the seeds inside the paper towel, put it into a little like one of those food containers, make sure it's moist, let it sit for a couple of maybe a day or two. And a lot of times they'll be germinated, they've germinated in like a day and a half. Put them outside and let them go. And that's a good way to test your seeds also. But yeah, watermelons, cantaloupe, give it a shot. You'll be surprised at the results. Cucumbers. So this is another one of my favorites. Cucumbers need full sun, fast, very, 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 very fast growing, 50 to 60 days from planting to harvest. Cannot go wrong with these guys. We go to the supermarket right now, we're spending all this money on cucumbers and different things that just grow really fast. And you'll be shocked to like how fast they grow. Let me see. Companion plants are marigolds, basil, and beans. So these guys, you can kind of have your purple hole very close to these guys, and they will all get along well. Okay. Cucumbers. And let me see. Summer squash. This is another fast-growing plant. Something once again. I wasn't. My mother made squash, I'm pretty sure, but I don't really my wife and my daughter, man, they get busy with this, and they cut this joker up and season this, bro. And it's this is some good eating right here, and it pays it pays an order to cook. You know what I'm saying? So this needs full sunlight, 60 days from planting to harvest, and so companions are marigolds, basil, and beans. And I will say this about marigolds. Marigolds was one of my father's favorite companion flowers. He planted it everywhere, and I never understood why he planted them. And but now today I understand they are like one of those. They're like a guardian plant. They don't let nothing bother. They got like they kill the fungus in the soil, the harmful fungus. They keep away certain pests, and they smell bad. They don't smell good. So I used to like, man, why is he putting these stinky plants here? But they had a good effect for the crops that he was planting. So once again, summer squash, 60 days, and this is something I would strongly suggest that you plant if you are a new grower. And hold up, I want to go back to this. Look at the pretty flowers on that thing. That's absolutely beautiful, and that's what they look like on squash. You know, like take pictures of the learn the flowers that you see when you grow these different crops, and I just think they're beautiful, and I have a good time growing them. I did not put a bunch of herbs in this presentation, but this is one of my favorites, which is holy basil or tulsi. It likes the full sunlight. Companions, you can plant these among your tomatoes, your peppers, asparagus, and beets. I didn't even put in tomatoes in this slideshow because the tomatoes get really beat up with the hot sun, and they don't they tomatoes will start producing when the sun lowers its intensity. Then all of a sudden, here come the flowers and here come the tomatoes. But during the heat, then they're not going to produce that much. And so, but basil is one of those herbs that I would definitely plant in my yard. Rosemary, oregano, thyme, and then there's one called Mexican mint marigold, which I've never grown that, but the other ones I have. And that's my list of what to plant. If you're new to this, those are you cannot fail. Well, you can fail, but these guys are resilient and they got a mind of their own. And I believe that you'll be very successful with it. I don't know, Uche, did you have any questions for me for that right there? Any
Uh,
questions?
So we do have some questions in the chat that have come in. Todrick Estelle says, "Do you know about Roundup Ready seed laws?" Um,
Wow.
and it- can you comment on that or? All right.
Um, Only thing I know about Roundup is like stay away from it.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, I
Definitely.
pulled out my yard, and my neighbor across the road from me was spraying something I know was Roundup, and I'm not a big fan of glyphosate or any other of these herbicidal these pesticides and things. They're killing us with them, and we got to be really careful about using those. But I don't know the laws behind it. You have to look that up. I don't know, Phil. Maybe do you know anything about that?
Oh, you're muted, Phil.
Sorry, sorry about that. Uh, no, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Matter of fact, if you could, you're right. If you couldn't hit, because I know all seeds aren't created equal,
Oh,
and you did talk about saving seeds, which is a good thing, but again, all seeds aren't created equal. Can you hit on that a little bit?
hmm. So good question. Good point, Phil, is that you want to make sure that if you're buying seeds, you want to buy heirloom varieties. Okay, you want to buy heirloom varieties. You want to buy something that's not a hybrid, and you definitely don't want to buy GMO seeds. Now, let me say something about GMO, genetically modified seeds. They're normally sold to big ag producers because they're gonna sell you a bunch of them. If I was a producer for HEB and I'm selling the watermelons, they might sell me something. Hey, look, this is the type of watermelon we want you to grow. this is the herbicide for it, and we want you to plant these. And I have a contract, I'm gonna sign that contract, and I will plant whatever they want. But for you, as a grower producing for your family, you want to use heirloom seeds when possible. You want to stay away from hybrids. And hybrids. Let me make this perfectly clear. Hybridization takes place naturally in nature, but what happens is that when man does it, what they do is they take two different types of plants and they mingle them, and so you might get some type of plant that looks really great, but when it's time to harvest those seeds you will not get the same results. You might just get one attribute of the parents. And you'll say, wow, I was expecting to get this color, but now I got that color. So this is why you want to stay with heirloom because an open pollinated, you want to stay with those because it will always produce the seed or the plant that it came from. It will look exactly alike over and over again, and nothing will change about it. But always stick with open pollinated and heirloom. Okay.
We have another question in the chat, Uriah, from Wanda.
Yes, sir.
Um, when should when should we plant tomatoes, or when should we plant tomatoes? That's the question.
Let me see. What was her name again?
Wanda.
Wanda, I have tomatoes planted now. I kind of threw them in the ground once it got like started warming up, and they're producing flowers right now. I just know that when it gets really, really, really warm, they're gonna go into survival mode. They're not gonna produce anything. They're just gonna be hanging on. And then once the weather cools down, maybe late August or that then they might start producing fruit again. But I would plant them. I would try to get them in the ground now. And like I said earlier, um, we've had weather here. It was about a week ago where it was like high 30s, and
Mhm.
just really bizarre. And so like you have to really watch it and be prepared if the weather does get cool like that, and you have a bunch of tomatoes that you planted out there. You might want to cover them up. Have some sheets or something that you can cover and protect them, so you don't lose all your money, you don't lose the crops. And so that's when to plant them. I would say early spring, when the last frost-free date is gone and you feel it's safe to plant them, but still keep your eye on the weather to make sure they're not destroyed with any freak cold weather. And so, like, you have to stay aware of that. Anything else?
Yeah, I got a question for you. So you hit on marigolds, which is great. Is there any other pest repellent? I know as it gets warmer and warmer, when it gets in July and August, the plants get a little bit weaker and those pests, come out. Is there anything else you can share with us as far as pest repellents? Like I know for instance, my brother says to one of his techniques, especially if he's doing kind of a raised bed, is to plant more in the middle than around the side. He kind of builds any herbs that he has, because he says pests just don't like herbs, whether it's onions
Yeah.
or basil, whatever it is. He said they do not mess, even lavender, anything that kind of gives off a smell,
Mm.
puts around the side, and it just it keeps the bugs away from. So, and I know other people do host plants. Can you share on that at all?
No, that's a good point, Phil. One thing I do, I plant onions like almost everywhere during the cool season. I planted onions all around my kale, all around my mustards, all around my arugula and broccoli. Onions are everywhere because the bugs do not like them. And also, too, besides the insects, now there's not many insects during the cool season, but you have rabbits, you have deer, you have gophers, and they do not like onions, garlic, chives. So these are things that you want to plant during that. And one other thing I do too, Phil, is I use a pepper spray, something that I mix like cayenne, garlic, onions, and I spray the plants with that, and that kind of stops a lot of bugs and things from messing with them. Even we had like a situation where we had rabbits and we were trying to figure out like what's going on. And so what we did is we made a whole spray container of cayenne and garlic, and so like that stopped the rabbits from messing with our garden. And they since changed their habits and they go around. I guess they don't. I guess they moved on to a better neighborhood. But we that's what we did, and so that's a good idea, Phil. I'm going to use that next time. I'm going to build a fortress of herbs around my plants. I love it. Yeah, really good.
So we have two additional questions from chat.
Mhm.
Tina asked, I noticed that all your plants are in the ground. Are there certain plants that do better in raised beds versus in the ground?
Ooh, that's a good question. On my site, like these illustrations are not necessarily my site, but on my site, I would say 75% of everything I have growing right now is in raised beds, at least 75%. It's easier for me to manage like that than being in the soil right now. My soil is not the best, and so like I put a lot of things. Now, some things do like my type of I have a sandy loam, and some things do like the sandy loam, but I do use a lot of raised beds. It allows me to control the soil type that I'm putting in there, and it's just way easier to manage with raised bed. I strongly suggest using raised beds. Make a long story short.
Awesome, awesome. The next question was, we have another one. We have a couple coming in. What kind of onions do you plant that? Oh, we have a couple questions. What kind of onions do you plant that ward off bugs, yellow, green, or purple? I know you said chives or any onions, right? That was it.
She said, hold on, she said, what kind of onions? All three of them.
Yes, bugs, yellow, green, purple, etc.
Once again, I have a nursery that I probably visit like once a week, and sometimes they'll have like a bunch of crates of nothing but onions, different kinds. I'm going to take about one of each, and like I'm going to plant them, see which one does the best. But I don't know any of my pests that like onions. I don't care what kind it is. I don't really like sweet onions, but I like the white ones. I like the purple ones. I like the red ones. I love them. And so I plant them all over the place. I still have some right now in the ground, and yeah. So use all three of them. Use what you can.
Okay. Next question from LaShawn again. Is there a particular soil used when seeding vegetables and marigolds? Can you use the same soil mix?
Oh, for marigolds, I've never started marigolds from seed. But I'll tell you this: if I was making my own seeding mix, what I would use is what they call cocoa core, which you can find in most pet stores, and I think you can find it in like Home Depot. It is the byproduct of coconuts, and then I might use perlite or vermiculite for moisture retention, and then I might use a compost mixture with that, and that right there is like my basically my seeding mix. I will say this though, understand that seeds do not need a lot of nutrients in the soil. Some people think they have to have a real fertile soil for seeds. Seeds have all the nutrients that they need within their seed coat. All they need is the right temperature, the moisture, so they can germinate. And they're going to pop up, and they're going to use the nutrients in their soil. And what they have is the new leaves, those leaves called the cotyledons, which is nothing but the nutrients that they need inside that seed coat. So some people think they have to have a really nice fertilizer, but you do not have to do that. Okay, they do not need fertilizer.
Okay. We have another question. I guess this is a follow-up regarding the Roundup, the
Okay.
Round Ready seeds.
Mhm.
Todrick said, I have heard about Round Ready seeds that were blown into the neighbor's garden, and they were charged with and fined for using Roundup Ready seeds without authorization. Is that something that you're familiar with? Is that something that's
Yeah, I've
occurred?
heard that, the audacity of these wicked devils to do something like that. Here you are trying to grow something, then something blows over into your yard, and then you get charged for for stealing. That's absolutely wicked. I mean, I have nothing really to say about that. You know what it is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's evil. That's evil. I don't. No, enough
Yeah,
said.
and along those lines too, just as a farmer, one one thing for sure is you can't control what's coming from upstream.
Nope.
It's kind of part of the deal. Whether it's from the wind, whether it's from water, which we all know water is going to go somewhere. Um, so just keep that in mind, especially if you got neighbors, and this is whether you're growing, you know, in your backyard or you're growing, on large acreage. Same deal. Sometimes what runs downhill is going to end up in your farm, on your farm, and sometimes that could be a good thing, and sometimes that could be not so good.
Yes, sir. So yeah, man. Those guys. That's. I don't know. I don't think that's right. I've heard about different stories like that, and it's wrong. One day, everything gonna be all right though.
Mm-hmm.
Everything gonna be all right.
And
So, go ahead.
questions are coming in. You asked for them, so they're coming. We have another question from Nicholas. Where
Uh,
do you get your soil or soil ingredients? Do you use to make your own? Sorry, I didn't ask that. Where do you get your soil or soil ingredients do you use to make your own? Or what soil ingredients do you use to make your own?
wow, that's a really good question. I will use. I have about three or four different. I'm trying to think of
We got to
uh
get you to one of them. We got to get you, Brother Tim will get you to one of our compost classes because yeah, there's a way, and this is for everybody. And there's a way you already have pretty much right on your farm, all of us. Uriah tells us all the time, don't throw away them leaves, you know.
yes.
So there's a way to make your soil good,
Yeah.
Sure, if you're just starting out, you can go out and buy some, but there's no better soil, there's no better materials, organic material that's already right there on your place. It's got inoculants in it. You don't have to worry about what you're bringing into your space when you go buy something at a store, you buy something at the local, topsoil spot or whatever. So just keep that in mind, and we'll do some more trainings on it. We've done some in the past, but that's what I encourage folks to do is build your own soil, build your own biofuel that you can continue to feed because we didn't ask this, Uriah, but this is probably a question also is you need to feed your plants. How often do you feed your plants with compost and other things that you and I view as fertilizer,
Oh,
natural fertilizer?
yeah. So that's a really good question. So normally, between the seasons, I'm gonna probably freshen up my beds with some type of probably mature compost and manure and compost, I should say it like that. I use rabbit manure. I use horse manure, but they are well composted, and I mix them in to help fertilize that soil. I very rarely will buy. I don't think I've ever bought a chemical fertilizer for anything I've grown ever. And like I just don't do it. And I think a lot of things a lot of times when you live in a country, there's so many options for fertilizer around you, and people just want to, like they want to give it away. You do have to let stuff compost. I do believe in composting. I don't. I gather everything: leaves, coffee ground, wood shavings. I do all this stuff when I mix it. Let this thing compost, and I build my own fertilizer and soil mixes. And so, like, I think that's what Phil is getting at. And so that's what we got to learn to do because right now we're dealing with a shortage of sulfur. What is it? Phosphorus that normally comes from the Middle East, So we have to, get wise. What did we do before they started shipping these chemicals to us? How did our parents do this? And so once again, they used manure. Manure is like, I mean, you can't get no better. I mean, I'm not, there are bad manures, but you have to learn how to utilize that in your soil and how to compost it. And so, that's what I would use right there. I don't use store-bought fertilizer.
Yeah, and we'll do more trainings on it, but here's what they won't tell you because they want to keep making money off you
Mm,
is that an unhealthy plant, a plant that's got pests,
yeah.
pests aren't going to attack a healthy plant, and a healthy plant comes from healthy soil. So if you want to, if you want to get around the pest problem, grow healthy plants, and put
Yeah.
them in healthy soil so they stay. That's what pests attack. Pests always they attack what's diseased or they attack something that is unhealthy. That's the first thing that any pest goes to. They don't want you to know. They want you to believe that pests are
Mhm.
going to just attack everything because they want you going out spraying everything with these pesticides. Not true at all. If you just concentrate on continuing to build your soil, which is what we're talking about, which is that's a whole nother training, but we'll
Mhm.
continue to have field days on it and show you exactly what we're talking about. It just takes away all that extra expense and the fact that if you spray your food, now you're eating that very same
Yeah.
toxins that you just sprayed on it. So
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to teach here, but they don't want you to know. They want you to believe that pests and disease attacks everything. It does not. A healthy plant is not going to have to deal with it. Nature's always going to get is. So there's going to be one or two withered disease leaves on in your garden. We're not saying that, but the more you can build your soil and make it healthy, the more you're going to have a healthy plant. The more you're not going to have to deal with the pests and disease.
Yeah. Great advice, Phil. Really good advice.
Mhm.
Let me see. I have a couple more slides here. What time is it? Okay, let me
Yeah,
just fly through this. Spacing is super important. This picture right here is a bunch of tomato plants that were planted too close together. And a friend of mine's, it's like Uriah, whatever you can get in there, you can have. There was nothing to get because they were so crowded together, you could not really harvest what you needed to harvest. But spacing, choose the right plants for your yard, for wherever you are. Make sure you choose the right plants for the conditions that you have. Study your yard, figure out what can grow best here, and let it and do your homework. Okay. Plant taller plants or bushes next to smaller ones to provide shade during the summer. Let's see, what's your growing season? This is a really cool. Let me see. I want to talk about your growing season because a lot of people don't really understand this. Nah, it's not that deep. Like we're in the San Antonio area, so the last frost-free date is March 20th, according to this new chart here. And so, like so this gives you a window for the first frost-free date, first frost date, excuse me, is 11 on November 12th. And so like you have like this big window to grow a lot of things during that period. And so over time, you just really want to know like when is my frost-free date? And they're saying March 20th. Still keep your eye on the meteorologist on television to make sure that that's the case. Then you can see down here that November, they're saying that this might be the first frost that you see. And so, like, you just want to keep your eyes on this. And let me see what else here. Boom. Oh, hold on. Okay. And so, like, that's the first frost free. Down here is the day where they're expecting frost to show up. And then right here is where I probably do some fall planting, try to take advantage, probably more like late August, really. And depending on, once again, watching the weather, just watching these dates. so you can see the window that you have to work with. I wouldn't want to plant any watermelons in August because you don't have enough time. That's why you need to know this. So you don't have enough time to grow whatever you're trying to grow. So you want to start this in maybe April. So like in, and we know that late May, June, and July is going to get really, really warm, really hot. I don't even want warm is not the right word. It gets really hot. So you want to make sure that March, April, May, you really got stuff in the ground. They are mature, they're strong, and maybe they can deal with the heat for a little bit. But you want to know your growing season. Okay. Um, I did mention getting all the information you can possibly get. I do believe in almanacs, farmers' almanacs. Grab one, just read it. Absolutely amazing information. Go to your extension office. Somebody mentioned about what is your zone. Go to the website, put in your zip code, and say what zone is this zip code in, right? Go to your local nursery, not your big box stores. Make sure just talk to the people that work there. They'll show you whatever they have for sale at a local nursery is going to be for your location. It's not going to be something you grow in Mexico somewhere. It's going to grow right here for you to do well. And so you can speak to them. They'll tell you what to grow. You can ask some real basic questions, and they will treat you really good. They're very knowledgeable. You want to calculate your growing season. I heard there's some people here in Dallas. There's people here also on the call from Houston. So you want Texas is a big area. You want to figure out what is my true growing season. And let me see what else we got here. Oh, this is very important. When you know your growing season, when you look at these labels, now you can see why on these labels it has maturation time. You want to know, well, how long will it take this arugula to mature? Do I have enough time when I plant this arugula in my yard? Is it going to mature or is it going to be too hot? The next thing you know, I got this big, beautiful arugula flower and it doesn't taste like what I expected it to taste. So you have to know your growing seasons and how long do I have to grow my plants, whatever it is, whether it be a warm season or whether it be a cool season. Buying seedlings. If you're brand new to this, and Bonnie was the name I was trying to remember, but Bonnie supplies all the big box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart. They all got Bonnie plants. If you're brand new to growing, try your hand with some seedlings. I think Uche, you had one of the questions of what advice would you give somebody starting out? Just you got to try it and just don't be afraid. Don't brag like I'm gonna have this beautiful garden. Just plant some things and let it see if it grows well, so that you can brag about what you did grow. Right? Don't let them, but you have to experiment. And like learn what the maturation time is, how much sun does it need, and then of course spacing is super important. Follow the instructions on the little card that comes with the plant, and just go for it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Um, People eat plants that they grow. They feel a connection to them, and a pride. You get pride too. At the end of a season, you're gonna find a lot of great deals. That's what this slide is saying. I shop. I'll just, even if the season is near the end, I might just grab a bunch of stuff that's on sale. Map the area around your house for the sun. That should have been way in the front. We already did that. And of course, questions and comments. And I took a bunch of comments or questions. Uche, I do have some tools, I think, at the end of this. There's my number. If you need to call me, I'm kind of going fast. I know our time. We're supposed to be finished at 7:30, correct? So I'm kind of flying through it. But I did want to show these are some hand tools that if you are new to gardening, you definitely want to have certain tools, and you should be able to grow things. Look, you're not going to go out and buy no big tractor. You just want to be able to grow stuff and don't go into debt if you can't. Just buy your tools so you'll learn how to grow with just a shovel, a spade, a rake. And so your spade, is your garden workhorse, for digging little holes and things like that. The shovels are versatile tools. used for digging instead of a spade. Both of them are they're very comparable. The mattock, if you're digging something like for a tree, this is a nice tool if you want to get a nice workout in the sun. That's a good tool right there. You can swing around. The weeding hoe is the ideal solution for removing weeds from a garden bed. And I kind of have mixed emotions today about using this because I let certain things just grow because I know how important it is for roots to hold soil in place. After I built up all of this soil, man, last thing I want is here come the rain. Next thing you know, it's all down the street. And I'm just like, oh shoot, So I let the weeds stay there and do their thing. But if you want your rows to look really, 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 really pretty, you can use this weeding hoe. They call it an action hoe. You kind of go back and forth with it, and it scrubs. It basically scrubs off plants from the right at the top of the plant. And so this is the weeding hoe. The engineer's hammer is very important if you're making a little raised bed, a little short hammer that you can drive in stakes and different things. Really good tool that you might need. Your hand tools here, you have a hand rake for breaking up soil surfaces in small areas, your hand trowel for digging soil surfaces in small areas, and then your pruners. Some people, I kind of use scissors now for like harvesting a lot of leafy greens. I don't use any of these too much, but these guys right here, if you're brand new to it, you might want to use these. They make you feel good, right? And I use my hand for a lot of stuff because I like touching the soil. It's beneficial to you, and your soil should be loose enough that when you put your hand in it, it's not like rock hard, it's not like super duper sandy, and you should be able to apply it with your hands. And that's very important. Get to know your soil. Of course, you got a hole for weeding. Once again, you heard my thoughts about weeding. Rake, absolutely need a rake. I would say if I had to choose maybe three of these guys, three hand tools, it'd be a shovel, a rake, and probably a pitchfork. Because like moving wood chips and stuff like that, you're gonna need a pitchfork. But the rake is a really good tool you gotta have for gathering foliage, grass in a smooth and great soil when you're laying soil in your bed. You want to smooth it out with your rake. You want to move any heavy rocks that are in there. If when you're just starting out, putting in seedlings, you want to give them the best opportunity to grow. You don't want your little seedlings to have to push a boulder away so they can come up. So you take your rake and you smooth it out, right? Potato fork is used for harvesting potatoes. But that pitchfork is a nice tool. They don't make tools like they used to. They don't make them like they used to. They cost a grip, and they sometimes they just break in your hand. So be careful. These tools that we're looking at, I mean, they used to cost like maybe $10, $15. Now you're looking at a good rake. You're looking at $30, man. That's an investment. You buy a whole bunch of tools and like take care of your tools. You should be able to pass them on to your children, and they'll take care of your tools. They will take care of you, right? Wheelbarrow, you absolutely gonna need a wheelbarrow and probably a bucket, a good bucket, especially when you're harvesting and different things. But like the wheelbarrow is absolutely a necessity if you're moving soil around and you're getting your workout on your site there. So like the wheelbarrow is great. I love wheelbarrows. And let's see what else we got here.
Yeah, bend those knees, y'all. Bend them knees. Don't throw your back out.
Don't throw your back out. That's right. So now watering, you got your hand tools, you got a watering wand used for watering crops, of course. I also use like hand bucket, like little watering cans. These are plastic, but they get the job done. You have children out there, you don't want look at you spend a lot of money on this little metal watering can, and then like when the children leave it out and gets messed up, man, you're not gonna be too happy about that. So I use like maybe plastic watering jugs for because these cost like $1 something at the dollar store. Then they get the job done, and you're going to definitely need a watering hose. You're going to have to irrigate your plants. There's no way around that. we live San Antonio is a very arid area, and there's no way around. You have to water your plants, and you're going to need the proper tools to do that. This page right here is very important. I see people on Instagram and YouTube videos like they got on these little booty shorts, they got cleavage and stuff hanging out. And I'm like, where are you? You're not working in no yard looking like that. You're not, man. Come on, man. And they're not the guy. Well, you see, no, it's mostly the ladies. And not to say anything bad about it, but it's like you gotta cover up, man. You don't know what you're gonna rub up against. These bees, there's insects, there's stuff, thorny things. So you wanna, have get some jeans, get some long sleeve shirts, get you a sun hat. Make sure you don't get too much sun on your head. Get you some shoes that you don't mind getting dirty, and get you some gloves every so often. Sometimes you do need gloves, right? And I think that was my last slide. Yep, that's the last one, Uche. And so that's it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes,
Yeah.
I was gonna say gloves are necessary. Gloves
Yeah.
are necessary. I'm not comfortable like y'all touching poop. I'm not that comfortable. Not yet. I'm close, but not that close. But no, yeah, gloves are necessary. Tina in the chat, she said thrift stores are a great space to find bargain items for sure. I agree with her. She also mentioned spaces like Costco. You can buy
Mhm.
certain things in bulk, certain materials which are sturdy and also inexpensive. So thank you, Tina, for that update as well. But yeah, I mean, you're
Hey,
right.
hey,
Yeah.
I did want to say something. I'm glad Tina mentioned thrift stores. One day, I knew we was about to get some really cold weather, and I said, "Man, I gotta go get some sheets. I don't want to spend any money for those stupid sheets, or whatever." So I went to the thrift store, and everything was half off, and they had all of these sheets and stuff hanging up for like really cheap. I was like, "What?" So I bought a whole bunch of them and basically saved my garden from like getting like destroyed by the cold, because like you do have to buy stuff, man. It's like if you got to buy some stuff, make sure you buying things that ain't gonna break you. You keep them, you wash them or whatever, put them aside for the next time you need them. But yeah, thrift stores for jeans and different things like that. Don't go broke. Like grow something before you start buying like expensive things. And
Mhm.
I see a bunch of questions in there. Let me see.
Yeah.
UJ, any more questions?
Um,
Um,
Noel said Facebook Marketplace as well. You never know what you come across until you try. So yeah, you've been answering a lot of questions from the chat for sure. One thing I will mention to everyone, as you can see, Uriah is a wealth of knowledge, y'all. And this is you're only scraping maybe about 5% of the knowledge he has. So one of the key things that we did earlier this year with Uriah had a 4-day gardening course that he started up, and we'll be launching it again I believe the end of
Probably
summertime.
cool. Yeah, the
Cool,
cool season. Yeah,
cool
maybe.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe like late August.
yeah, late August. So everyone mark your calendar, late August, early September, Uriah will be launching another gardening course as well for the cool season. It's a great way if you're in the San Antonio area, if you can make it down, we'd love to have you. He does this in person. So you're a touching the grass. You're going to probably touch some poop a little bit for sure, which is okay. It's good to kind of get your hands dirty. I had to do it and I actually enjoyed the entire process. But you do learn about the entirety of gardening from start to finish. He shares everything from picking the right seedlings to creating the perfect soil for your area. He talks about how to create the perfect gardening beds. If you want to plant in a garden bed, if you want to plant directly into the soil, he talks about what you need. Of course, he goes over all the tools and necessary items you need as well. And of course, you get your hands dirty, so you learn in depth. And
We do have a poop alternative too. We'll share
yes,
that with y'all too.
there is a poop alternative, and it's a lot more poop, but but it's really good. It's really good. It's really good. Oh, We have another question from Nicholas, Brother Tillman. Have you used vermiculture before?
I tried it. It's just too hot where I'm at. It's
Mm.
way too hot. My daughter had this little. She had a nice little setup. Man, them worms got fried. It was
Ooh,
it's just too hot. It's
yeah.
just too hot. And I think it's a great idea if you have the right environment for it. And
Yeah, you can't. So I do it in Texas, um, brother Tillman. What I have to do when it gets hot out, and this can, it works fine for me because I got solar panels, so I'm saving on electricity. But I
mm,
basically I put it in my garage and I set my garage so anytime it goes over 80, boom, that AC is coming on. And it's just a window unit. It works fine, especially if you don't got a huge garage, but that's how so vermiculture is fine. But when it gets hot, yeah, that's what I go to. But it can get spendy depending on what your setup is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Vermiculture is great though. I love it. Matter of fact, um, with the exception of getting rid of seeds and like weed seeds and stuff, it's probably the best way to go when you're talking about building your soil
Mm.
Yeah.
with organic matter.
Yes, sir.
Because
Yeah.
something about a worm's body purifies everything, and it's a great way to go. But that's a
That's a
whole
whole
nother
other course.
training, but good
Yeah.
stuff.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, we are at the 7:27 mark. I don't Phil, do you have any announcements? You already have any announcements before we wrap up?
Nah, I don't have anything. I don't think.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well,
Okay.
I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us. We're very glad you stuck with us through to the end. Uriah, thank you so much. Oh, Laquina, do you have a question? Oh, I thought she had a question. Uriah, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge. As
Yes.
always, it's always a blessing to have you. It's always amazing. I learn something new every single time. I'm over here like, okay, well, I'm glad I'm recording this and I get to watch it again. But everyone, you will receive an email with a recording of this, and it will be posted to our YouTube in the next 48 hours. And as always, y'all, thank y'all so much for joining us and be the exception. Good night,
Be the
y'all.
Take care, yo.
right.